Bonjour, mon minus. Je suis Cory Yagoun Marco et le Dodcast. Season. Fuck, I forget. I forget some of the words that I needed to know there. I'm not French, admittedly, but it's season 7, episode 5 of the Dodcast. 5 is cinq. Set. The problem is I don't know season or week, really. That's where the issues come in. We got an Anziorecap, and we've got the predictions for Hallie. Um, and we don't have a frag of the week just yet. So I guess there was more submissions kind of at the last minute, and T wanted to stall it, so we won't be watching the frag of the week. However, we have something else to watch anyways. It's Mutiny. Oh wait, before I get into that, I would like to remind everyone, so you're using the demo tool to get your times, right? If you're using the demo tool to see where your streaks are, don't just send a screenshot of the demo tool as if it's times. Because that's nothing. It really doesn't mean anything. It will take somebody almost as long just to go find where that is in the demo as it would to just go watch through the demo at 4 times speed themselves. So the demo tool is a tool to make getting the times easier and faster for you, because then you see, like, you remember, okay, I had this clip, okay, here it is. Like, I got a 4K with a Garand. It seemed like it was fast. Then you look on the sheet and there's only one 4K with a Garand, and you see it was like 12 seconds. You're like, okay, that's it. And then you go in, you saw it was X number of lives in, you can get to where it goes live, you can count those number of lives, and then you can get the tick time. That's not a movie maker's job, guys. I'm sorry, but if somebody just sent me a screenshot of the demo analyzer tours times, I'm just not going to go through that demo. Unless they left me a little note that said, this 4-kill streak was insane, like, go find that, okay, but I'm not about to go through, like, each and every one of these multi-kills and shit and try to find, like, no. That's not a timesheet, so to anybody who did that, which there was some people who did that, apparently, this is the trend now. Not a good idea. Not a timesheet. Those are not times. And yeah. So I just for the sake of future frag of the week makers, yeah, just don't. That's not a timesheet. That doesn't tell a movie maker jack shit. That's more for you to be able to find the times easier than it is for a movie maker to be able to go, well, I'm going to use this to make the movie. Like, come on, guys, come on. You played the match, you know where the clips are. This is just like a reference sheet so that going and getting the times is going to be quicker and easier for yourself. The movie maker did not play the match and has no idea based on, like, this is not, those are not tied to this is a movie clip. Like, you could have a 10 kill streak there. That took, look, we saw Die Life had a 16, and okay, with a 16 kill streak, just the fact that number is so high might make it worth considering, like, a movie clip for a frag of the week. But generally speaking, the point of a timesheet is to go, like, here's this life, this is how many kills, it was a good clip, or it was, so in my rating system, it's like, there is 3 kills, okay. That's a clip that I'm never going to use. 3 kills, good. That's probably like I got 3 kills in like 10 seconds, so it's not super fast, 3 kills, fast, good. That might be fast, but like I shot them all in the back, or like 2 of them in the back, or like it was really ugly looking. Now, 3 kills, nice. Now we're getting to where I'm like, alright, this is good shit. Do I have a timesheet somewhere I could just pull up as a way to show you guys here, like, how to correctly do times? I guess maybe I've taken for granted how, like, common knowledge this is. Not everybody often has had to do timesheets, but let's see here. Where might I have Is there like a Thunder movie demos? I know I brought. Okay, wait. Is this a frag of the week? Here we go. This is a frag of the week timesheet right here. All right, see. So you got 3K fast raped, right? So pistol, midair scope kill, no scope from loft to underpass. 3K fast, nice. Scope, pistol, headshot, scope. So like this must have this obviously has a 6 shot in it, right? Midair scope kill and a no scope at long range, right? That's 2 basically 6 shots. This is fast. This is also fast, but doesn't have anything crazy. Then we have scope, then insane pre-fire 1D headshot from loft to back 4-way on stealth raped. Push up, because there's just so much time here. Like, there's no need to make someone capture 40 seconds. One more scope kill, push up another. I mean, those are that part, the pushing up part, don't do that. That's for me for making clips. I just do that myself. Scope kill, push up, sick crouch chop shot on stealth plus another scope kill. No scope to loft, then, or no scope from loft to mid, then 1D, scope, then really nice no scope, scope, then sick crouch. You know, like, I 1D a guy in the head, but he's still alive, sick. 5 kills, nice. No scope, 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 pistol headshot. Push up to 3 more, scope. This whole clip doesn't happen very fast, though. You see? That's just nice. Because it's got nice shots in it, but it's not fast, it's not raped. Now, I wouldn't use raped, necessarily. You can, but people might frown upon that. I have just always been using this nomenclature to dictate the clips that I really want to use. So, I've already taken too much time on this, but, you know, it was brought to my attention that timing is a bit of a problem this week, and therefore I decided I would put out a PSA for future Frag of the Week, and I guess just movie makers in general. So yeah, this is Mutiny 3. We've all been waiting for it. This is my first time watching the final version, but full disclosure, I have seen this whole movie a lot of times now. I've been here for generally, like, the whole process of it being made. And I also had, like, a very full version of it. Like, not full, but, like, basically had everything in it, minus the intro and scopes and stuff like that. So I've seen this a bunch of times, but I haven't seen it in its final form. So I was planning on doing this before it got released, but then Steve just, like, released it late last night or whatever it was, so. Bam, bam, it's a holiday. It's a holiday. Ah, it's a holiday. Brino, no, Brino. Brino. I wanna celebrate. I'm disappearing, I wanna celebrate. Oh, you never feel the cold. Never feel the cold. Never feel the cold. Never feel the cold. Do. It's a holiday. J-Rock. I wanna celebrate. Now you made your neck. Never feel the cold. Never feel. This clip of Milo is insane. It's an ace. Cold. That's 2, 3, 4, 5. From the semifinals, 6. This typical team was such a good team that season. That season might have been the most competitive, like, batch of teams in gold. But luckily, Tox had respawned from that first death just in time to get in here. Rection. Look at how high he jumped. Rection. And I can say this was the semifinals map 1 right here. Why? With no direction. See with no direction. And I can see with no direction. Timo doing his best Gall versus DGF impression right here. Will Gall get the ace? And he does! Reset. Oh wait, that's a different version. Black God in the middle. I realized at the last second I was singing the draft version of it. Let the spotlight shine on me again. Oh, that shot just misses. Blacked out in the middle of your life. I'll be like. Let the spotlight shine again. And if it makes you feel alive. This was the first clip for Mutiny. Steve was working on just editing. Oh, here's Devin. There you go, Devin. Now you get to see finally. When you see me on the floor. Just the bottom of my Joe. Do ya need 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 do Nicholas, hat trick Nick. Steve didn't realize that there's a nice coincidence about these two clips here, right? So you have Nick, Axis Sniper Model, gets the kill. Me, Axis Sniper Model, gets the kill on Nick. And when you see me on the floor. This is what it looks like when I'm stuck playing in a Dallas server. I look like I have 120 ping. This clip is nuts. I should have sent him the shoutcast for this because I was watching all of this too in a cast. Milo almost single-handedly bringing bandits back in this game, but Over ended up hanging on even after this. Hard. Way. Hey. This clip is absurd. Dang. Way yay yay carp. Way yay yay carp. What a clip. 4 fast kills. This Justin clip is fucking disgusting. This is the one that I was puking in the bathroom for, so I missed it. I was casting it, but I missed it. What a clip. I came back and Tony and Tox told me paintball just aced, but I was busy acing the toilet with my vomit. Nice clip by Corey, that's gross. So is this as well. Another clip from the finals last season. Bang, ding. Here's this clip. This clip is the Easter egg that ties this movie to the Thunder movie. They're in the same universe. You will recognize if you watch the Thunder movie all the way through. That. This might be my favorite clip in the movie right here, and part of it. This domination. Running straight forward with a car. I don't know if it's either that clip that's my favorite one, or maybe Jared's clip on Harrington against Icy Hot, because that clip is like a clip I would want to get. This is another clip that I casted all of it. Like, I happened to catch this whole clip live. Carp, carp, carp. Beep, beep, boo. This fucking clip is like the first absurd clip in KTP play. So nuts. These songs have all been stuck in my head for ages. What? If you guys knew what it took to get that clip in the movie, I won't give up the tradecraft, the inner workings of how that clip got into the movie, but the actual way that that clip is in the movie is insane. You can kind of catch it if you look close enough. That clip of Element is also another one of the earliest, most insane clips in KTP. Again, one that I casted all of live, and my camera turned upside down for some reason. Here we go. Every rifle is jealous of that clip. So there you go. Another classic entry into the Mutiny series, and very possibly the last one that we're ever going to get. So, enjoy watching that over and over again. Now I can just add it into the DoD movies playlist. When DoD is inevitably dead again, I'll be watching Mutiny 1, 2, and 3 over and over, just right in a row. Okay, now let's get on with the show. Oh, good, it got released in here too. Nice. Oh, the YouTube link. Okay, there's the YouTube link. Nice. It's on the YouTubes. All right. So, I wonder how it looks on YouTube. Only 720p. That's unfortunate. Oh, no. We're going to have to figure that out. All right, so we're going to figure that part out later because there's no time for this now. I'm on a deadline here. I have to be making a 7-hour drive in about 2.5 hours, so I can't fuck around anymore. Okay, where are we here? Where are we here? Wait, what? That game happened early. Okay, yeah. This section here, there is one missing game, if I recall correctly, right? Yeah, GSR versus Volvo did not happen. But everything else did happen, I believe. So, this week, Anzio. Last week we talked a lot about how it was 30-point difference on Saints. Not so much this week. Anzio, I mean, we've had, you see close games on Anzio for sure, but Anzio can get out of hand much, much quicker and easier, and that is reflected in the scores. I mean, also, there obviously sometimes it's just mismatches, right? Like, there's just games that are going to be not a 5-point game. you got to look at Anzio scores, I guess, in the context, right? Like 60-point caps. Each double cap is, there's two double caps as well, so all that has to come into account. It's just a lot harder to come across a 5-point game than it is on Saints, where you're just fighting for the same flag over and over again, basically. So, I want to say I casted fucking every game this week. I could be wrong. Is there any one of these that I missed? I did that. I did that. Right? That's expired? Yeah. I didn't get to do G Skill versus Clinic. I don't know if there's an HLTV or not, or if anyone else did it. So Hallepreds said he's doing G Skill Clinic, but I don't know if that cast exists or not, to be honest. So, but that's the one game I didn't do, regardless. Okay. As far as all the silver games, when I did get to go do them, so this one actually got played way ahead of time. I talked about last week how that had already been played. We've got Stunt versus the Wicked. Stunt take it 626 to 179. First half here, Stunt. Actually, this was no, that was first half. Stunt on Axis. So 319 to 95, 149 to 105 for the kills. I assume that this is all showing, right? Display capture is on. Good. And I assume that my volume was all on before. Yeah, it was on. Okay, so for the Wickeds, Pocho had an excellent. So Pocho had an excellent half here at 32 and 24 for one thing, and then Man had just a great game overall. He started off sniping this half, goes 26 and 22. Then he cars second half because they had that sense of urgency to the fact that they had just lost by 200 points, basically. 220, I guess, at that 224. So Man picked up the car to try to take the aggression forward, which was, again, great awareness just to even think to do that. I love the initiative by Man to take the car there. 16 for JJ, as we're calling Jiraiya Jr. now. 15 for Bullet. 10 for Leto. 9 for Zato Ichi, which is Jiraiya. And then on the stunt side, Vanaki was your MVP overall. He was carring double windows, and I love watching a good double windows car, man. As somebody who has gone double windows my entire career, rifling and sniping, until like KTP, I would snipe double windows too. But in KTP, the players we had, Tox was going to go double windows with the car. I'm not going to take his route, so I had to start going bridge. But it's not an easy thing to do. But good players can certainly make it look easy, and it is one of the most important jobs because allies should be having Plaza most of the time. Your car is generally the way to equalize Plaza for the Axis, and Vanaki 36 and 22 more than equalized. He actually tilted things right back in their direction, and that's going up against, you may notice, the two top fraggers on the Wicked side, both going to be Plaza players. Pocho with the bar, Man with a sniper. So he was killing the guys that were the hottest hands over and over again there and looking beautiful in the process. BLK with 24 on the other car. Another great game here for BLK, getting the car every match. Matt, had 25. Matt was the other real strong player in this game for Stunt, like the other standout. He had a lot. They were using Matt almost like a bridge Unter, but with the STG, and they were still sending like 3 other guys bridge. It just seemed like he was always timing pushes through like water up to Z, stuff like that, getting into spawn house. Like he was just wreaking havoc rather than trying to go out main ramp and die into a sniper, die into a bar, going out grass through Ivy, die into a bar, die into a Garand. He was sneaking up through Z and pouncing and getting just double kills up the ass. 25 and 19 for him there, 24 for PFG, 22 for Top, 18 for Sirio. And then on to the second half, 307 to 84, 150 something to 121 were the kills. Looks like maybe 158. Tough to say for sure. But on the Wicked side, once again, Man, 30 kills there with the car top fragging. So the old car sniper combo leads to a nice top frag for Man. Obviously, I'm sure he would rather just win the game, but he played out of his mind. 26 for JJ. He had a great half with the car on the bridge in a very tough half here. 20 for Pocho, 19 for Bullet, 15 for Jiraiya, and 11 for Leto. And then on the stunt side, you had another 32 for Vanaki there. easy top frag choice for the MVP. You had 30 for PFG on another Garand. Those guys were just getting movie clips up the ass. Same for BLK, 28 for him there. And then he had 23 for Matt. Matt had a very sick run up loft with a bar and I think it was like 4 kills, like in about 10, 15 seconds. And like 3 of them were bar sniping, I believe, or maybe 2, whichever number it is. That's a sick clip. Which got him the honorable mention for the MVP. And then 21 for top, 20 for Sirio. Stunt get the dub. Tough game for the Wickets here, but to be honest, the way Stunt was playing and their kind of like game theory on how to play Anzio from the look of it would be tough for anybody in that game to deal with. I liked everything I saw from them there. Vanaki looked great over in double windows. Again, very important to being able to have success on your Axis side, like cap out success, not just like we held bridge and they held plaza and we held street. Like that's generally what Axis are going for a lot of the time is like, you should get bridge and you should be able to hold it if everyone does their job. Now, you're also the first ones who are going to get to street, so you should be able to hold that, but Plaza then is going to be getting flooded. There's going to be a sniper, 2 bars. There might even be a Garand there from time to time if they've already lost bridge and aren't attacking it. So a lot of times, you see teams kind of just like hope for the other team to make a mistake in those situations and then try to parlay it into going for the cap, but then there's ninja breaking and nade breaks and everything like that. These guys had a great scenario set up to not just hold, but also full cap over and over again on the Axis side. Now, Expired versus Carr, 647 to 202. Expired with a huge win over a tough fucking team in Carr. To give Carr the benefit of the doubt here, they were missing some players. The classes were probably not optimal as far as who was playing what. So, this is first half, I believe. It looked so, to be honest, after this first half, which you can see 195 to 149 for Expired, 130 to 117, you generally feel it's an Allied-sided map, but it can really go either way, to be honest. Kind of like how Saints has been playing, right? Like, it's Allied-sided technically, but with just a couple things, it can go right back in the other direction. Now, in this case, a 36-point lead, way under a full cap. Carr could have won this half, too, with just like a little bit of luck. But yeah, obviously, second half, things get very different here. However, for Carr, you had, of course, again, 30 for Illusion, a very strong MVP candidate for this season. He's been going off. 22 for Insight in his debut with Carr. He was on the heavy. I don't know how much Insight has ever heavied. Obviously, he's second top fragged here. I only know him as a rifle. So, like, I don't know if this was his, like, first match ever heavying, if he plays a heavy, like, a lot, but then he generally is rifling, and, like, I'm not sure. But he looked fine, 20 for Shreddies on the Garand. 17 for Louis, who was sniping, I believe. I believe it was Insight and Virus X heavying. Louis was sniping, and then Wua, Shreddies, and Illusion were rifling. That's honestly the only problem there is with Carr is just that, like, they only really have one true heavy, which is Piff, and Piff wasn't there. So right there, boom, like, that's tough, especially in a week like this where, you're going to need big performances out of a heavy to be able to win. You can't your rifles can't just do it all on this map because the map is split. So yeah, obviously not having, like, true heavies there, yeah, I give them the benefit of the doubt on that one. I think this game is a lot closer just by having, like, Piff there on one of the heavies. Doesn't matter what heavy's in there for, right? So, on the Expired side, though, 27 for SQ, just going off again, man. Pizza Hut, 25. Nitrox on a heavy with 24 kills. I've never even seen Nitrox heavy before, and this guy was just basically finding rifles on the ground over and over again and getting movie clips with them. This is what I was talking about in weeks past, though. Like, Expired's roster is so stacked, it doesn't matter who they're missing and what class they need to fill. They've got a stud player ready to go in there and fill it with no problem. We've seen it time and like they've had maybe even like 4 different lineups play throughout this season and have been just as successful with all of them. Nitrox was extra impressive in how many kills he got on his SDG half there. Raven with 23 on the stas, 17 for Evs, 14 for Budagas on the sniper. And then second half, obviously you can see there 452 to 53, almost a 400-point win there on the Allied side for Expired. On the car, Axis side, 29 for Illusion, 27 for Shreddies, the main rifle core there, doing good work. 20 for Louis on the sniper, 17 for Insight, 13 for Wua, 10 for Virus X. And then on the Expired side, 37 top fragging was Ebbs. Like I said, almost doesn't matter. You're missing Fincher. That was like a big storyline that I was talking about in the Dodcast and in the cast itself leading up to it. You're missing Fincher, and here we have Evs just step in, 37 and 24 with the bar, no problem. Pizza Hut 31 on the Garand, Raven 27 on the Garand, Budagas 27 on the Sniper, SQ with 24 on the other Garand, 15 for Nitrox, not much for him to do, he was just kind of the anchor in Plaza. And overall Expired with, again, a very convincing win with another different roster here. So much versatility. I think people underestimate how important versatility is in this game within your roster and your main starting six even. Because not everybody is super comfortable playing their class and route on every map. Sometimes you got two guys who play the same route and class. One of them has to go play something they're not comfortable with. And in some situations, to the extent that you might need to swap classes entirely there, right? Like, oh, well, our heavy is very comfortable going that route with a rifle on that map, and the guy who isn't is pretty okay with heavying on it, so now they're going to switch. Or the guy who's sniping is comfortable going this route with a rifle, and the rifle is going to be okay sniping on whatever map, like hypothetical map. It is very important. Take it from me as the guy who is often the one having to do the switching. For if somebody's missing, if somebody doesn't like to go a route, I'm the one who's usually playing a different class or a different route every single week, map to map, whatever it is. And that versatility and flexibility can go a very, very, very long way. It always has. It's always been something that Thunder has kind of prided itself on, is the fact that we, just within our starting six, could swap like 4 roles basically at any point in time based on the map, the situation. If things just aren't going right, that can happen easily too. Like somebody's just not feeling it on a certain route in a certain class, and it's an important, like main area. It happened on Armory against Bandits where I was sniping on Bridge, Jared was carring going the heavy route. Neither of us were having a good game. We swapped. So then I was carring the heavy route, he was sniping, and we both instantly were significantly better. Like sometimes you just need to switch it up because it's not working. Having that versatility like Expired has demonstrated is a very, very valuable tool to have in the box. Okay, on to the next one here. We got a DoD team versus No-Go. This was another big-time game here, 447 to 246. I think this might have been the closest game of the week. 447 to 246. It's like 200 points, basically. Yeah. Yep, that's the closest game of the week. So, did get to cast this game. This is actually the second half. So, first half here, 262 to 104 in favor of a DoD team. Kills were pretty much dead even. On the no-go side, T, again, with an excellent half here, 37 and 18. He was doing everything he could to keep no-go in this half and give them an opportunity to cap out. I know at one point he was just like in Plaza, killing guys over and over again, like hanging on to the last little bit of life while his team was basically like almost getting capped on. He held them without getting capped long enough that his team was able to respawn, get their one back, get pushed forward, get Bridge, and now they have Bridge and Plaza. And then what happens? He gets TK-nated. Just at the worst possible time and place, because he was pushing up right next to Pizza, which is, I know for me, my favorite sniper spot on Axis side, at least of this map, if not overall on the map. Very overpowered sniper spot, because they're not going to be able to get a nade off on you from Beach at all. You're going to kill them when they get to that corner. A dead nade isn't going to fly 100 yards and kill you, right? So you can really just post up on there and generally not be at threat to be killed unless either you miss or they hit an insane shot or you don't have a teammate in barrel to make sure someone doesn't sneak up behind you and kill you. And yeah, T did everything he could, man. Like that was a crazy half for him there with 37 and 18. 22 for Kush, 21 for Greg, 18 for Dedro and Matthew, 11 for Coy. And on a DOD team side, yet again, Barron, another strong candidate for MVP this season, getting to rifle this week, 30 and 28 on that Garand. Just going off in both halves, to be honest. Azilla with 25 on one of the other Garands. Head like a hole getting to bar this week. 24 kills for him there. 21 for E-Man. 18 for Savage, and 15 for Arachnid. I really like this lineup for a DOD team. I really like this lineup for a DOD team. You know, and again, within this lineup, lots of versatility there. Baron has already shown he can heavy, he can rifle, he can third. Azilla has already shown, and I'm sure he can snipe too, right? Azilla has shown he can heavy, he can rifle, he can third, he can snipe. Head like a hole has shown he can heavy, he can rifle, he can third, he can snipe. You have all these options, and then E-Man is probably going to be heavying. I don't know if Savage can do everything else, but just looking at how good he is, I'm sure he could. And then you have Arachnid on a sniper who is like a pure sniper, going to do the job of a sniper and do it very well, which is always a good foundation to start from. I love this DOD team lineup the way it stands right now. I've talked about it a lot where I was like, there's some lineups for a DOD team where they could be instantly the best team in lower, and be pretty much, I mean, not impossible, but very difficult for most teams to beat because of how well-rounded they are. All right, on to the second half, 185 to 144 for a DOD team. Kills 154 to 117, so I mean the frag total there makes it look like a dominant half. But the score, only plus 41 there. Still, they won their Axis side. After having a convincing Allied side win, they get to win the game overall. On the no-go side, 28 for my boy Matthew, making his return. I wish Matthew played more often. He's always so exciting to watch. He was actually heavying here, and played super fucking well, man. He looked great. He was all over the place on allies, getting kills with the bar and any gun he could find on the ground, because that's how Matthew does, much like myself. He had 28. T with 23. I got a good half for him sniping here on Anzio. 21 apiece for both Coy and Spoon. 14 for Kush. 10 for Dedro. And then on a DOD team side here, 32 for Azilla on the car. He looked great on bridge there, as did Baron. 30 kills with the Stas. He was the clear MVP with 60 there as a third rifle. And then Savage with 24 and 16. Oh, wait, sorry. Arachnid, 28 and 19 was the other guy going bridge. So you had Azilla, Baron, and Arachnid on the bridge. 32, 30, and 28 kills. Like, that's going to be so hard to overcome on Allied side. The fact that this half ends up as close as it was is a testament to no-go, to be honest, because you see those kinds of kill totals out of the three bridge players on the other team, and you assume, like, okay, we got shut out here. So really, really impressive that Nogo was able to make this thing that close on this half. And then after the bridge team there, you had 24 on Savage. He was carring double windows, and again, I loved what I saw out of him carring double windows. 24 and 16, you might look at that and be like, well, it's not that many kills, whatever. Like, going Plaza with a car is difficult, and the other team can just make it a game of hide and seek a lot of the time, because like the bars will get very paranoid about peeking you. If you kill the sniper enough, he's going to kind of like not want to make it a duel. He's going to try to kind of like catch you off guard, be up in church tower looking main, and then like, oh, a call comes that there's a car double windows. Now I'm going to peek and hope I can catch him off guard, because I don't want to peek him and be holding him outright, die, and then we lose Plaza because of it. Savage was finding a way to get value in Plaza there. Looked like a certified fucking veteran of DOD 1.3 double windows carring. I loved it. After him, you had 20 apiece for both E-Man and Head Like a Hole on the heavies. They were doing what you need to do as a heavy on Axis side. Hold street, be there to cap Plaza when the time comes. Don't give up street, main ramp, and sundial constantly, because then you're gonna lose everything. Like, that's really your job on Axis heavying on Anzio, is to hold street, sundial, and main ramp. And then when inevitably the allies make a mistake, you need to cash in on it, and then you go get Plaza, and then you can kind of try to take a more forward stance. I'm saying that in general. You need one heavy at least to do that. You can do both heavies as well for the extra safety. Let the car be the main point of contact until like you get plaza. But realistically, you need that at least one heavy to be doing that job. Your other heavy can kind of roam around, try to do what Matt did, for example, pushing Z, getting around the backside, pushing out Ivy if you want, going through sewers up the church. There's options like that, but it's really important that you have somebody hanging on to that street area. We've seen it so many times just in games I've casted on Anzio. What happens when you lose street? You lose the game. So big W for a DoD team there, getting back on the winning track. I love that lineup for them. I'd be curious to see if that's going to be their regular lineup moving forward, because if so, watch out, everyone else in lower. I think that is one of the like 2 or 3 strongest lineups, just like raw talent and ability that you can see in that division right now. Capable of beating absolutely anybody, without question. All right, so last game to do here, as I have made this already a way too long episode. I don't even want to look at how much time it's been, because it's going to be depressing. 589 for Team Easy Company over the Best Buds, 296. So, I don't remember which half was which here. I think this was first half. I casted this game, and there's a reason I think it was this half, because I think I remember early on in the cast seeing Kevin get a clip pushing Beach Spawn with a Stas and a bar. Yeah, he had like 10 kills in a streak, I think. And I think like 7 of them were like bar sniping from the Beach Spawn. Now, bar sniping is in shooting 1 bar bullet at a time. I don't want to make it sound like Kevin was aimbotting, like he walked over there and was just 1-barring 7 different guys in the head. Like it was shooting 1 bullet at a time over and over again and eventually killing them, not flat out aim locking. So don't go disputing Kevin for this demo. It wasn't aimbotting. It was still reasonable. Like it was just below aimbotting, like where it shouldn't be possible still, but it's just stealth things. Kills plus 19 for Easy Company here. 249 to 161 and a half, 88-point differential there on the side of the Axis Easy Company. For Best Buds, 28 kills for the Brom Bomb. He's been great on the heavy this season, man. He seems to be taking to that role in a very unique and fun to watch way, where he's not playing any one play style. He's been very, very mobile and versatile, but also willing to like stop and ninja around and just make your life a living hell. We saw it on Saints, getting Best Buds back into that game late. We saw it here as well, all over the place. Both like just running at you with heavies and also hiding, waiting for a ninja break, just being a nuisance. 27 for War Within, continuing to be one of the best snipers in the game. Playing a lot, as T said after watching his Frag of the Week clips, he reminded him a lot of the way that I play with the sniper, which is exactly one of the main reasons why I like watching War Within play, because he plays a lot like me. 26 for Hopper on the other bar. That's their Plaza team right there, right? Like War Within, Bromley, and Hopper. Look at the kill totals they put up there. That is the reason this half was as close as it was, realistically. Then you had 16 on Epion, 15 for Big Bird, 13 for Chicago Legend, and on the Easy Company side, Kevin Stealth Gardner, 39 and 16. As I said, like 10 of those kills were on that one streak. Just insane Stas half there for him going bridge. Matt Die Life Vazana, 35 and 22. He too had a couple of fucking insane movie clips. 21 for Stark as well, a really good half for him on Axis here. Stark continuing to have a great season on the heavy, and I always end up comparing him to Krod because they have such a similar play style, and both very, very effective in using that play style to their advantage. Quarter with 19, Zamp with 17, Laura with 13, and then second half, 337 to 135 for EasyCo on their allied side. Kills were plus 54, which is a crazy kill differential. Just a very dominant half here from Easy Company. It could have been worse on the scoreboard, but War Within and Bromley were doing like Herculean things to keep this thing even as close as it was. As you can see, 38 kills for War Within there. Ended up an honorable mention in the MVPs list, even in a loss like this, because 65 kills in that game is kind of insane. And then Bromley with another 28 kills here. Again, doing the same kinds of things that I was talking about for the first half. Just very impressive to see as a guy who has really not ever been like a main heavy. He's always been a rifle, a sniper, a third. But proving he is one of the most all-around versatile players in the game. 17 for Big Bird, 16 for Chicago Legend, 10 for Epion, 8 for Hopper, and then on the Easy Company side, 40 kills for Die Life, and as I alluded to earlier, 16. He was 24 and 19 before he went on a 4-minute 16 kill streak where he gets a grand kill. Then he picks up an Axis sniper and is on that end of bridge spot for the next 3.5 minutes, getting 15 sniper kills. You might be wondering, why didn't he die in all that time? Well, it's the most OP sniper spot in the game. It's very rare that you're going to just pick a sniper who's paying attention there. The way you're supposed to kill them is getting up into crack, getting guys out from different angles and nading him and peeking him from multiple spots and making it impossible to survive. The problem is, Easy Company is such a good coordinated team. They always had somebody in crack, in barbershop, in short ramp, making it so they couldn't get to crack. I think they had one chance where there was a small opening to get out of crack, and the nade that they threw just missed its mark, like blew up a half second too early. So, like, that was the difference between Matt being, like, 28 and 20 after that streak, and 40 and 20 after that streak. Just a little bit of bad luck. But 40 and 20 half there. Matt is at literally averaging like 40 kills a half this season, almost. I think it's like 38 kills a half. Just having a crazy run of it. Stark, there we go. 39 kills as well, almost a 40 for him. Again, looking a lot like Crawd in the way that he plays and how impossible it is to deal with when his shit is going down pat for him. Just that aggression on a heavy. You can't afford to miss a shot at all if it's a rifle, or you will pay for it with your life. And this Easy Company team has numerous players in the top 15 right now, statistically, because they're clicking on all cylinders. Speak of the devil, 31 kills for Kevin there. What was that, 70 total? Matt would have had 75. I think Matt was the MVP, followed by Kevin, followed by War Within. Then 25 for Laura, 21 for Zamp, 15 for Quarter. Nothing left for him to do at that point when you got 60 kills there between your two bars, so there's nothing going on in Plaza. And then you got 96 kills going on there between your three rifles. Like, what are you supposed to do? At one point, he went over to Bridge to try to take over that Bridge sniper spot, which Matt gave him. Matt went to walk away, go be the guy to push up and to crack to back him up. What happens as soon as Quarter gets to that spot on Bridge? He gets naded. So then Matt ends up having to fall back. He was about to go push up, and like not just sit there anymore. And the second Quarter gets there to snipe, he gets blown up. Matt has to fall back and continue sniping from the bridge. And then he leaves again. He did die in that streak, eventually. It was just he died when because they needed to just get street. They had everything else but street. Matt did not just sit there and rest on his laurels and try to rack up a 30 kill streak. He left, went to street, tried to get the flag, lost his life in the process. Didn't matter, still broke 40, and still got the W for Easy Company, remaining with that O at the end of their names. Lastly, we've got two upper games here. So our game first, TMC 597 over Lobsters 119. Lobsters were missing a guy here. No defrag. Couldn't show at the last second. So Havoc, Nick Cad, Walla Walla Bing Bong had to come in, playoff class, rifle in a tough game. So this was first half here, 324 to 59, 152 to 107 on the Lobster side. 22 kills for Matt, 21 for Corey, 19 apiece for Cody and Justin, 14 for Ian, 12 for Nick. On TMC, you had 29 for Devin on the Stas, 28 for Sean, 27 for Jules, 27 and 6, continuing to try to get that KD ratio title, looks like. 24 for me. I had to card bridge, which is actually the first time I've ever card bridge in a match. So I'm just glad I went positive. And then we had 22 apiece for both Jesse and Mitch. And then into the second half on Allies, we had 32 for Justin there, carring double windows. Again, pretty fucking impressive to have gotten 32 kills with who he was going up against over there. Another guy who's great at carring double windows. 28 for Ian. 23 for Corey, 17 for Matt, 14 for Cody, 11 for Nick. And on the TMC side, 40 for Sean, 29 for Devin, 28 for Jesse, 27 for me and Bees, 19 for Jules. It was 273 to 60 for the half. And GG to Lobsters. Obviously, this is basically my team from last season. Give or take a few different players in there. Obviously, me, Tox, Jules, Frank, Andrew. But basically, it's like half a 3H. So always fun to get to play against these guys and get shit on by, CK grenades. There's a really funny moment that I ran butted CK because I talked about it in the Dodcast how much I didn't look forward to playing against CK on this map because he always gets into spawn house. So it was like my one goal to not let CK get through sewers into spawn house and shoot us all in the back. And you know what? He still did it multiple times. But I did Garan butt him once, which I mean it shouldn't have hit, to be honest. I should have died because the fact that after my Garan ran out of bullets, I even went for the butt stock, let alone with the distance that he was away from me. But the game worked in my favor in that moment. So yes, GG to Lobsters. G-Skill versus Clinic, 524 to 247 for G-Skill over Clinic there. I did not get to see this game at all, so all I can really say is what the scores were. For the first half here, 333 to 89 in favor of G-Skill. Kills were very close, actually, 149 to 147. I'm not surprised. Clinic are obviously fucking good players. It's crazy that the half score ends up being, such a level of disparity there with the kills being so close. It just tells me that Clinic was probably playing really well in the defensive situations that they had to play in to keep cap outs from happening for a while, and then when they eventually broke through for the cap out, it just was a few. However, Clinic obviously missing Debo this week, but Carpenter was back, and you can see right there, Carpenter did not take long to get right back doing Carp things. 36 and 22 on Axis here, 32 for Insom as well. Those guys going, I assume, well, I think Insom actually goes double windows. So Carp going bridge, Insom going double windows. Always so strong on this map. 24 for Tom, who of course had to go back to heavying because Tom is living that hard life like I always live, where you're doing whatever the team needs you to do, for better or worse, for yourself. 21 for Vic, 18 for Sam, 16 for Scott, and then on the G-Skill side, 33 for Chuck on the sniper. 26 for both Alex and Taylor on the Garand bar, respectively. 22 for Colin and Andrew. And then 20 for Milo. DOD Dallas. Oh, they were playing in a Dallas server, so I'm sure Milo was loving that with the 67 ping. I know what it's like playing from Canada to Dallas servers. It does not work very well. I shouldn't know as well as I do what that's like, but I do now. Alright, so then Allied side here, much closer, plus 33 for G-Skill. The kills were plus 18 in their favor. On the Clinic side, Vic with 31 on the bar there. Vic continuing to have one of the best heavy seasons in gold this season, upper this season. 27 for Sam, 23 for Insom, 22 for Scott, 18 for both Tom and Carp. And then for G-Skill, 29 apiece for both Chuck and Alex. I assume... Oh, actually, no, Alex wouldn't have been going. He would have been going bridge. Andrew's a double windows car. I was going to say, I assume he was going plaza, but no. Unless, I guess you never know, maybe, but Andrew has generally been a double windows car who I personally helped tutor myself, so I'm assuming he was in dubs. 28 for Taylor on an STG, 27 for Milo on an STG. Like, look at those scores for your two STGs. It's going to be tough to beat ever when you have two STGs that are this good at this half of this map. I've talked about before their unique way of playing it. They're just so shifty and mobile. They put an emphasis on street, but not to the extent that you can ever have any real idea heading into it to predict where they are going to be necessarily. They're all over the place. 29 for Chuck as well. So 29 for both Chuck and Alex, 28 for Taylor, 27 for Milo, 25 for Andrew, 19 for Colin. Big W for G-Skill to remain the lone undefeated team, taking out Clinic, who was the other current team left undefeated at that point. G-Skill stands alone at the top now. And then I think we're playing Clinic this week, and that'll decide who is alone in the second seed. if I recall correctly. Is that all the games? Yeah. There's only 2 games in upper for this week because the GSR Volvo game hasn't been played yet. Okay. So, where are we at here? Okay, it's not as bad as it could have been. It could have been way worse. Alrighty then. What do we got here for the week of Halle? Car and Stunt, No-Go and Easy Company. Ooh, this is the match of the week here. There's a few good matches this week. But a DoD team versus Expired, I think, is the match of the week, especially if you're gonna see like the best 6 for both those teams. Like I really gotta cast that match. Where is that? Match alerts. Where is it? Okay, we play at default. Car versus Stunt is also at default, so hopefully HLTV will get recorded there. Wait, GSR versus Volvo is now 3. Ooh. GSR versus Over is at 4. A DoD team versus... Ooh, shit, okay. So I can do... Wait, what's this one? Oh, that's already been played. Okay, never mind. We're good. Alright, so... The Wickeds and Best Buds is default. So we need HLTV recording for that one. A DoD team Expired is 3 p.m. GSR Volvo is 4. So what I'll probably... Oh, man, I really want to cast that G-Skill Over game. So G-Skill Volvo is at 3. Okay, that's perfect. Or GSR Volvo. That's perfect. So what I'm going to do is the Expired game at 3. Silver match of the week. And then Gold match of the week. G-Skill versus Over at 4 on Sunday. That's perfect. And then none of the other ones I'll get to cast live, but hopefully HLTV gets recorded for as many of those games as humanly possible. We'll see what happens here. Alright, so starting it off here, we'll go with Car versus Stunt. Stunt continue to only have a 6-man team, so it's Matt, Vanicky, BLK, Top, PFG, Serio. You know what you got there, right? And then it was Cars, the other team, right? I just fucking forgot. Yeah, Car. So Car, a little bit less clear who their 6 will be. You know, you got Illusion, probably definitely going to play, right? Louis has been 50-50. Piff, I assume, was just missing last week, so probably like Illusion, Piff, Insight, Shreddies, Virus, Wooa, and then you got Louis and Handy, who both have popped in depending on what's going on there. So, Halle. Not a map that gets played quite as much as the other maps, but we've all played it a million, billion, quadrillion times. It's not like a big fucking X factor variable of a map. You know, the bridge is obviously the lone double cap on it. You have it's basically Armory, just a little bit different. Different skins on it. You know, you got the 2 lofts over the big bridge. You can connect over to the heavy route, which is like a long kind of hallway route with an extended flag cap on it. It's generally the same thing. It's kind of unfortunate the way the map rotation worked out, that it's like, you know, Saints, Armory, and Halle is 3 out of 4 weeks here. But this was, I believe, a captain's vote that got us Halle put in this spot, which I don't know how. Of all the choices, this was the one we ended up with in a season that we already had Saints and Armory. But I'm not a captain, so I can't talk shit. I'll get hit. For Car, you know, I think again a lot of it, because when you look at the makeup of their team, when you got Piff there, you've got an elite heavy, right? So you have Piff keeping things locked down on the heavy side to where, like, whoever the other heavy is, their job is going to be a lot easier and more straightforward. Then you got Illusion and Shreddies on the cars, both great cars. And then filling in the spots around it, if you have those 3 guys, there's a lot less pressure on everybody else to have to, like, go potentially get 25 or more kills. If you're missing any one of those guys, that hole needs to be filled by somebody else. Somebody else is going to have to step up and make up for the frag difference that you're losing if it's Piff on a heavy, right? If it's Illusion or Shreddies on a rifle. So do they have that, like, main batch of 6 here, where you got Illusion, Piff, Shreddies, and then you, like, you know, do you put Insight? I think Insight is join the team to heavy, right? So I assume Insight is the other heavy here. And with him taking up heavy full time, he will be a good heavy. It's a lot of times you just got to be committed to doing it. And if Insight is a heavy, he's going to be playing with the heavy as much as he possibly can, and will get very good very quickly. I guarantee it. Because they have a lot of rifles on this team. They just have so many rifles. Piff is really the only real heavy on the team. Everyone else that has heavy for them has just been playing with the heavy because they need a second heavy. Just a very rifle heavy team. But Piff now having a full-time dedicated heavy partner in Insight, that is going to help a lot with that lineup going forward to be able to reach the full potential that they have. On the stunt side, we've seen what their ceiling is when you got all their players kind of hitting at close to their max strength. Vanaki is capable of being a hard carry kind of guy who could car bar and be a beast. He's that good. Matt on the heavy doing the same kind of thing as well. BLK with the other car. Top on one of the heavies, very capable of having a 35 kill half anytime. Serio on the sniper, PFG on the third. They've got their roster makeup. They all understand their roles and play them well. I have next to no data on any of these players on Halle. So I don't know if any of them necessarily like it or dislike it. I don't like playing it. I'm not good at it, regardless of what class or route I'm playing. I just don't like big bridge maps, it turns out, I guess. Not a big fan of playing on them. Some people are, though. I would guess Illusion, probably pretty good at this map. I would guess Vanaki, probably pretty good at this map. They're both guys who just have, crisp aim, and most of the time, that's really the most important thing on a map like this. If you're not missing many shots, it kind of doesn't matter what else you're doing on the bridge side. Our team's going to send a car to the heavy side. You can. Usually for Thunder teams, we would send a Stas over there who is kind of you could have him jump over through the hole or go straight to bridge for support, depending on how things are going on the other side, and certainly even more so on allies, because your bars are generally favored on that route. You could have 4 guys flooding bridge to help make sure you got the bridge, and then send one of those guys over through the hole to back up the heavies if needed. So yeah, lots of questions when it comes to game theory on this map, but it's to each team to answer that for themselves. I think this is actually a tight matchup here. I think for Car, again, it will depend, do they have all, their main batch of 6 here ready to go? If they do, I think I would take them to win this game. But, if they're missing people, it depends on who they're missing. If they're missing one of their big studs here, that's tough to overcome, because then if you get one extra big game out of the guys on stunt, you need somebody who's going to fill that, illusion-sized hole or Piff-sized hole, Shreddy-sized hole, Insight-sized hole, whoever it may be, Louis-sized hole. It's asking a lot. So I think either way here, to be honest, it's within a cap, this game. I don't think it's likely for either side to blow this game out. Again, I lean towards Car if they have their main 6. If not, I think I lean a little more towards Stunt, just because they don't have the luxury of having a other player. This is their 6. They play together. When they're playing together. So that's kind of my take on this matchup. I think that all the matchups in lower are really, really fun this week and should be pretty fucking close, to be honest. Okay, Wickeds versus Best Buds. Excuse me, Jesus fuck. Okay, on the Wicked side, you got Bora Bill, Bullet Fodder, right? For sure, he's been playing most of the time. Pocho, who has been really a revelation this season, been playing excellent on the heavy. Mand, we already know, is a stud. Whatever you put him on, he's going to frag out. Jiraiya Jr., been great as a rifle. Jiraiya has been kind of doing it all. We've seen him kind of play every class, depending on who else is doing what. That's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then Leto was the 6th for the last couple games, but you never know, is it going to be Leto? Is it going to be Zaps? Is it Lucho? Is it AZ? Is it Ryan? They have a lot of guys who could potentially be in that last spot very easily. And then on the Best Buds side, their 6 has generally been pretty predictable, but they did fill out their roster here. Sir Snipey and Johnny getting into the mix there, but these 6 have been their starting lineup. Epion, Big Bird, Chicago Legend, Bromley, War Within, Hopper. Bromley and Hopper on the heavy route side, right? They've been playing really, really well together as a heavy duo. That chemistry alone immediately gets them favor on that side of the map, right? And then you add into the mix on the bridge side, War Within has been one of the best snipers in the game. It's a big old bridge with 2 lofts. A really good sniper is going to make things quite difficult for the other team. Is man sniping for the Wickeds? Is he rifling? Either way, he'll probably be on that side of the map to try to help deal with War Within. And then Chicago Legend as well. We've seen what when he's feeling it, very easily getting 60 kills in the game. Uh, you don't know, again, strat-wise, are you going to send a Stas towards the heavy route, Stas Garand, or is it going to be a Car Garand? Is Big Bird going that way with the Car? Is Epion going that way with the Stas? These are the questions that they're going to have to answer. I think best buds, again, there I think are some lineups here for the Wickeds that can make this one very, very interesting. Like, we haven't seen, I don't think, Zaps play yet, right? Zaps has always been like a star kind of player. Whenever he gets into any lineup, I don't know if he just like is too busy so he's never really been able to be like a main 6 starter. He's always kind of been that 7th man, but been one of the best 7th mans there are in the game. Like, when Zaps plays, he has an impact. Does Zaps get in there this week? Because that immediately makes things even more interesting. You're going to need a strong game out of, like, Pocho over on the heavy route side to deal with Hopper and Bromley. And then, Mand is going to play well. Like, you don't even need to say you need him to play. He's going to play well. You're going to need everybody on their shit this week for the Wickeds because Best Buds have kind of had an unlucky season so far. Their win-loss record, I think, is very deceiving. I think they are a lot stronger than their record would show you. Kind of like over last season where they were, like 1-8 or whatever, and it was like they are clearly the 3rd best team in the season up in gold, but somehow they are 1-8. Like, it just made no sense. They lost 2 overtime games. They had multiple, within a cap losses. Just one of those kind of unlucky seasons here. So maybe this just continues to be unlucky for them and the Wickeds come out flying. You never know. I go with Best Buds here by like 70 to 80. But again, just on a map like this, because it's so split up, if you can dominate the side that you're not necessarily supposed to dominate, just by one guy kind of playing out of his mind on that route or whatever, it can turn things around so fast. You get Mand going off or Pocho going off and just kind of like carrying a whole side of the map to control and opening up the rest of the map for your other side. That's how they get their way back into this. There's just a lot to overcome, right? Individually, a guy like War Within on Bridge, just that alone. We saw last week in a game that they lost by like 300. War Within still had 65 kills and like a 1.5 to 1 KD ratio. That's a lot to overcome, and you need a lot of teamwork and individual ability to be at its peak when going against a guy like that. Otherwise, he's just gonna, like, every time it could be a 3-on-1. He's got a sniper rifle and he's isolating off each of those duels, and then all of a sudden you didn't get Bridge back, even though you killed everyone else on Bridge. Or even if he just kills one of you, stays alive, and is just causing hell there long enough to delay it. Like, good players like that can take extreme numbers disadvantages and turn them into advantages just like that through creativity and just general game sense when it comes to, the way that they're taking duels or just surviving. A lot of times, surviving alone can be enough. So, a lot to overcome for the Wickeds. I think it's doable. But I gotta go with Best Buds here. I think that their record is just the product of bad luck so far this season. They're a lot better than that record would indicate. Next up, we've got Easy Company versus No-Go here. What is No-Go's record here? Just gotta double check. Okay, they're 2-2. I also think that their team is a little better than that too. Like, I think they could easily be 3-1 as well. Okay, so obviously, Easy Company currently undefeated, right? There are 2 undefeated teams on that side. Easy Company and Expired. They play next week. If they can both win their games this week, then we will have a pretty deep into the season undefeated breaker. Which would be very, very fun to see that happen. We'll see if everything works out for that to be the case. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But on the Easy Company side, you generally know what you're getting with this lineup. You got Laura on a rifle, Matt on a rifle, Kevin on a rifle, Kevin on a heavy, Quarter on a sniper, Zamp on a sniper. Or Quarter on a sniper, Zamp on the other heavy. Duh. And then, so for no-go, a little less clear. I have reason to believe that William Sick Blackwell will appear this week, though, and that could be really tough for Easy Company. I'm not going to lie. William Sick Blackwell is very capable of single-handedly winning games for teams, especially if he's on a rifle, where, again, like with the heavy, good heavies, like you have the multi-kill in short order capability, like with good aim and recoil control, right? With a rifle, that multi-kill capability can a lot of times come through mobility and evasiveness, which William has in spades. And then you add in the aim and the reaction time and everything like that. Positionally, William is very strong, and on a map with the range of this map, positional play can be enough on its own. Like, you don't even need the aim and reaction time. If you're playing well positionally, you can have a very strong game. If William is playing, that tips things a lot more towards even right off the bat, It's a lot to overcome a guy like who last season in gold was arguably the best player and was averaging like 35 kills a half or whatever on a big rangy map like this one in particular. I don't know if he personally likes the map necessarily, but I'm sure he's good at it. On top of that, you got Ryan, Deidro, Spoon, Kush, Manga, T, maybe Matthew plays, Tony and Koi. I feel like Koi played last week. I knew he was playing ahead of time, but I think outside of that, he doesn't really play much. Tony, I haven't seen play in a while, but you never know. Anything is possible. It's going to probably be something along the lines of like Twist, Deidro, Spoon, Kush, Manga, T, and then Sick could slot into any of those spots. T against Quarter on the sniper. T has looked excellent. Been easily one of the best snipers this season statistically. He's strong on every map so far, putting up great kill totals, great KD ratio. Taking the time to learn as much as he can. And when somebody's willing to put that time in, it really does go a long way. Even if certain people out there are gonna like shit talk that as a fucking idea, which is crazy to me because that's literally how everybody in this game gets better at it, is being willing to put in the extra time and effort into getting better. T is showing that hard right now. He is watching demos, he is watching games, he is, analyzing play from every angle. He is trying everything he can because he wants to be the best, and he is improving week in and week out in every little way that you could imagine improving. That helps No-Go a lot too. Now, on the Easy Company side, though, like, it's not just Quarter that you're sniping against, because even though Kevin isn't necessarily on the sniper, I assure you, if there's a sniper on the ground, Kevin is picking it up and making your life a living hell. Just like that. So, T will have his hands full in that regard. Stark on the heavy route with that unchecked aggression. If you got, Spoon and Twist on the heavy, say, this week, they're just going to have to kind of be ready for that, right? Which, again, is easy to say. Just be ready for the guy to dominate you, right? Like, you just need to have kind of like a game plan together to not let it ever roll too far out of control, because he will get his kills. The thing is, with a playstyle like that, you'll always get your kills, but that does leave you open to dying more, right? So, like, if you can tip the scales more towards him being like 30 and 30 than him being 40 and 20, that can be enough sometimes to tip your route in your favor. And certainly, Greg Spoon as a heavy is very similar in that playstyle. So if anybody would have a good idea, or he could just fucking bang heads together, right? You could just see Spoon and Stark going full like Ram, just banging their horns together, seeing what happens. That would be fun to watch. And then on the bridge side, hypothetically, I think you're looking at like Quarter, Die Life, and Stealth. It's a fucking good bridge team, right? Again, hypothetically here, what do you got? Like T, Sick, and Deidro, or Manga, or Kush? Unclear. If it's unclear if Sick is playing. Again, I'm just, because I just am reading into comments made in my Twitch chat, and this might not even be a thing that's happening. This could all be an elaborate troll on me, but William Sick Blackwell on that bridge team is a pretty good way to help even things up with what is a crazy bridge team on the Easy Company side. If you get William in that lineup this week, anything is possible. William can hard carry anybody, anytime, against anybody. Oh my god, what just happened? Okay, I just hadn't pressed my mouse in a while. Did that fuck anything up? Doesn't look like it. Um, so yeah, I mean, if William is playing this week, I think this game is automatically much, much closer. A guy in that level playing with a rifle, this could prevent cap outs from going off just by him hitting shots in the clutch. This can prevent bridge flag from being capped by hitting his nades consistently, staying alive when he needs to. Like that is a very, very big variable player right there. I favor Easy Company because they're undefeated. They haven't lost yet. No one's proven they can beat them yet. But if No-Go has Sick playing this week, this is going to be a very big test for Easy Company. Because he's frustrating to play against, man. He's really frustrating to play against, just for anyone. Um, Especially I can imagine it being really kind of weird in a game that if you're winning, say, not by a lot necessarily, but just you're winning and you feel like you're on your way to a win, but then like William is just there, getting 40 kills each half and keeping you from breaking through and making it like a clear-cut win and keeping his team in the game. That can be mentally a bit to overcome and something that I have struggled with against him in the past, or just any good player, not just William, but playing against a guy of that level can test you mentally because he's going to win duels that you feel you should not be losing. He's going to get multi-kills that you feel should not be happening, miracle breaks on double caps, miracle clutch plays. So that's going to put Easy to task just on overcoming a little bit of adversity that they haven't had to overcome yet, really, this season. They've been kind of cruising, through all their games. I'm pretty sure. I don't think they've had like a particularly close game yet. Where are we here? Yeah, no. They haven't had a really, this is a DOD team game, 65 points, but like, it wasn't that close, to be honest. They weren't ever really in like super big danger of losing that game. Like I think the first half was close, and then the second half they kind of like ran away with it a little more. So just a little bit of adversity on Easy Company here if Sick is playing there, and you have to deal with that superstar player on a route where you have your own superstar players dealing with it. Other than that, I mean, I don't even know necessarily if that's enough to win the game, but just even if they come out of this with a close loss and they're able to kind of take Easy Company to task, that would feel like a victory to me if I'm on No-Go, because Easy Company has just looked, impregnable so far this season. They have been great on every level. But again, in situations like that, just a little extra out of everybody, or one guy going a little crazier. If you got T just like going 40 and 10 both halves on bridge, that means that Easy Company probably isn't getting bridge all that often. You know, so it's not out of the question. But I'll say like Easy Company by 50 points here. I've had to play against. I think we scrimmed against them straight up in one game. Yeah, and they are tough to play against. I can assure you they are good at this map. Uh, but yeah, like for No-Go, you're gonna need your heavies to deal with the Stark choo-choo train going off over there. Laura getting a bunch of multi-kills on the rifle going that route. And then on the bridge side, it's all-out war. It's superstar players just going at it, chucking nades, hitting no-scopes, flying off things and killing each other, one-luging each other across the map. Which guy's horns hold up in the end, we will see. I'm banking on Easy Company, but I think this is a close, fun game to watch that I won't get to cast. Unless it's on delay, so hopefully HLTV gets recorded. Last thing to do on the lower side of things, ADT versus Expired. So you can see a DOD team, the lone 3-1 team, Expired, still 4-0, Easy Company, the other 4-0 team. A DOD team is the one who has the closest game with that 4-0 team in Easy Company, 65-point loss on Saints, which was actually, I think, was it the biggest blowout of the week? Technically? I think it was close. Let me see Saints here. That was a 5-point game. That's 65, 65. Oh, no, this is the blowout right here. 79, so it's barely more than that. So, like again, it's the closest game, but in the grand scheme of things, compared to the rest of the field on Saints, it was actually a bit of a blowout because it was double the average score differential for that map that week. Now, as I was talking about earlier, what's the lineup for a DoD team? That's my question. Really, you got to ask that question about Expired too. I'm just assuming it's going to be Raven, Pizza Hut, SQ, uh, Fincher, Budagas, and then who's the last one? We've only seen Nitrox once this season. Like, is it him? Is it Hadriel? Is it Evans? These are the questions that will be answered that day. Is it Bestia? Is it Coffee? They have a lot of guys who can fill in those roles and any role. I would be so interested in seeing though Raven, Pizza, Budagas, Fincher, SQ, and then you just need another heavy there, right? So yeah, really either Hadriel or Evans or Nitrox, but Nitrox not really a heavy. And on a DoD team side, so the lineup from last week, which I'm curious if it'll be the lineup again this week, Arachnid on a sniper, so you'll have Arachnid up against Budagas potentially, right? Savage on a rifle, Azilla on a rifle, Baron on a rifle. That's, I think, it's either them or the Easy Company. Oh, but Expired's rifle team is so fucking good too with Pizza Hut, Raven, and SQ. I mean, those are the big three rifle teams. I'd love to compare the stats between those three rifle teams. I guess Baron has only really rifled the 1 week so far, but when Baron is that third rifle, that's a really crazy rifle team. Azilla and Savage on the cars have been outstanding. Again, Savage got to be currently the favorite for the Rookie of the Year. I think it comes down to him and T right now. There's been some debate about whether T counts as a rookie or not. We'll see. I'll figure that shit out later. But Savage has been great. And him and Azilla mesh really well together. And then you throw Baron into the mix on the third. We saw how explosive he can be on that third last week. And then because of that, it opens up the heavy for E-Man and Head Like a Hole, who both can play the game in any playstyle you need him to here, right? Although a map like Halle, the muscle memory is not going to be there as much as a map like Anzio, Harrington, the Railroads, Donner, whatever, Shamil. They'll be fine. This is a fun matchup, man. This is star power in the lower division right here. I'm so glad that this is an afternoon game because I would have been pissed if I didn't get to cast it live or at all for that matter. Um, Again, I'm just like assuming that that's a DoD team's roster. You could see any of those guys missing and Meep be in there, or G be in there, or Purdy be in there. Like Meep was playing just about every match. I don't know if maybe E-Man Nick was just there this past week, and that was just, or even Arachnid for that matter. But I'm hoping we get the best six for both of these two teams because I think if you do, you're gonna have a Halle Classic. There's not been a lot of Halle matches. There's been like one that I can think of that was a really crazy match. I think it was Washed Up versus, was it Price is Right in season 2? I want to say there was a game where Bromley like went insane for Washed Up against Caleb's team, and I don't remember if it was Price is Right or not. I think it was though. I'm pretty sure it was. And that game like came down to the very bitter end, and that was like the craziest Halle game that I can recall casting or playing in. Um, I think this has the potential to be that again. Budagas up against Arachnid is a great sniper matchup. The rifle teams up against each other, Raven, SQ, and Pizza Hut, or if anyone's missing, Nitrox up against Baron, Azilla, and Savage. Like so much going on there. And then Nick and Nick, E-Man and Head Like a Hole up against Fincher and Hadriel or Coffee or Evans or Nitrox, whoever it is, or Bestia, all very capable secondary heavies to Fincher's insane 80 kill fucking average that he has going on. This is a coin flip of a game, in my opinion, if both teams have their best six. If anything has changed in either direction there, the favor tips a little bit, but I can't pick against Expired again until they lose. This is what I do every season. I'm not gonna ever just assume an upset happening to knock a team off from an undefeated record. But I think this, Expired is running the gauntlet right now. Who do they play after? So they play a DoD team this week and Easy Company next week, right? Then who do they play? Where are they? There they are. Then they play No Go as well. Again, another tough task, and on a map that is going to be a very big variable for everybody. If they're going to finish this season undefeated, they're going to have to earn it, because then after that we have the ranked games. So odds are they're playing against either a DoD team or Easy Company again on Lennon. Expired is running the fucking gauntlet right now. That they have to pass some serious fucking tests going forward to finish off that undefeated record. But I've been preaching about how I feel they are the best team on paper in this season since the beginning. I stand by my laurels on that. I think this week will tell us a lot about the scope of things to come as playoffs get nearer. And exactly like who it is that's the favorite to take it all. Obviously, regardless of what happens this week, Expired and Easy Company are playing against each other next week, and that could be a preview of the finals. That will tell us a lot in and of itself as well, but for the time being, a DoD team versus Expired, I gotta pick Expired, and I gotta pick them by 11 points. That's what I'm saying. All right, now TMC on the upper side versus not versus GSR, versus Clinic. Okay. Oh shit, 1 second. 1 second. Okay. So, what is left here? Have fun. See ya. Yeah, for Easter. Yeah. I didn't realize Easter was even happening then, and I was like, it could be this weekend. I don't know. Actually, Easter, right? Yeah, that's right. Family stuff, always. All right, I'll see you in a couple weeks. You too. Okay, so we got TMC versus Clinic. Obviously, my teams, TMC and Clinic. Where am I? There we are. So, most of the time, again, you never know. Weird things happen, but probably going to be Jesse, me, Jules, Mitch, Sean, Devin. In a pinch, you could see Ryan. I imagine Ryan first, then Tox, then Vertex, and J Rod almost a guarantee to not play. And then on the Clinic side, my boys, Clinic, Tom, Sam, Scott, Insom, Vic, Debo. It's unclear if that was just like Carp was able to come back and play in a pinch because they were going to be missing Debo, or if he's able to play now from now on, which would be awesome. Uh, I miss getting to play against Carp and cast his game, so hopefully Carp is now back. If not, then you're seeing what, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there, where Tom is getting to snipe, and Debo is playing with Vic on the heavies, right? Sam, Insom, and Swab on the rifles, but then if any of these rifles are missing, you see Debo onto the rifle, and Schmaltz or Garrett in on a heavy. Chris W on the team as well. I'm sure they could slot him in pretty much anywhere. So good luck, have fun to Clinic. This is one of those maps where it's just like weird shit can happen, right? I never feel comfortable on a Halle, and I will always have PTSD about playing Clinic on a map that weird things can happen on. So, but I just like playing against Clinic. They're fun to play against. Like, they pretty much just want to have aim duels with you at all points of the map. I love it. They will just peek you, and if you will just peek them, then we will just see who's hitting their shot for that 10 seconds and then move on to the next one, which is super fun to watch and play with and against. It's just these guys are the epitome of balls of steel in the DoD community. That should be their logo, just a fucking two steel balls. Not an actual ball sack, but like big, not testicles. I'm saying balls, but I'm not saying testicles in this case. Just two, like those momentum balls, right? Like that. Because that's what Clinic is. Balls of steel. Personified. Um, but yeah, hopefully Tom doesn't have to heavy this week, at least. I'm on Tom's side. Hey, he's getting stuck heavy and all the time. Tom never gets to play the class that he necessarily wants to play. I guess I shouldn't complain, though, because I haven't had to really full-time snipe in the last 2 seasons, so I just said enough was enough. Tom has not been so lucky, though, so I feel for him there. But good luck, have fun to Clinic. Next up, I said G-Skill over the match of the week, just to reiterate that. Okay, GSR versus DoD Worldwide. So on the DoD Worldwide side, this edition, which we did not see last week when we did the Dodcast, Bud on the team now. So I haven't gotten an ironclad answer to what the class situation is. Obviously, we know Bud is a heavy, right? I'm guessing that the most likely scenarios would be Corey's on a car, Rafinha's on a car, and then either you put Tony on a third, like he can Garand Stas, he can use the Unter on Axis if he wants. Like, he's very capable of rifling. You could put him on the third and have Bud and Kellen on the heavies, or you could put Riv on the third and have Bud and Tony on the heavies, or you could put Bud on the third and just keep Riv and Tony on the heavies. Lobaton works, So even though I kept talking about like when's Lobaton going to play, it seems like never, which is unfortunate because he's such a good player. I think he fits really nicely into this lineup. Um, but yeah, so and then Soya on the sniper, who has been outstanding ever since he's been a full-time sniper. Has just been impressive every step of the way. So we'll see what the deal is with DoD Worldwide's roster, assuming that those 6 guys are all there as well. You know, like they could be missing somebody, and all this conversation is irrelevant. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. And then on the GSR side of things, you've got, for sure, from what we've seen so far this season, Cam, Craig, Blackhawk, uh, Brandon, I think, is mostly played too. That's 4. Shogun, and Jared. So how would that roster work realistically? You'd have probably Colby, Brandon, and Craig on the rifles, the Stampers on the heavies, and then Cam on the sniper. I assume that's the most likely scenario here. You know, Jared joining the team now, a guy who has just continued to get better and better in the last however many KTP seasons. I'm sure everybody has noticed it. You know, it's a guy who puts in the time and the effort into getting better. I can tell you that personally. Just you know, like when he wants to improve at like going a route that he's not familiar with or a class or whatever, like he's doing everything he can to improve at it, and you see it from KTP season 1 to whatever to now, just steady improvement all along the way, right? I think a lot of people have been noticing that over these last whatever, like year, 6 months or whatever. And it's a huge pickup for GSR here, being able to now have him on the other heavy here with his brother. You know, Stamp has shown time and time again you can get a lot of value out of him on whatever class you need him to play. It looks like he'll heavy for this team. A map like Halle here, right? Here's the thing. That heavy route, obviously, the 2 heavies, and then is it a Stas, is it a Car, and a Garand over there, or maybe just 2 bars up against the 3. Depends on what the idea is for how you want to play that side. Do you want to flood bridge, try to secure the double cap, and then send somebody over to help reinforce on the heavy route? Do you want to go 3-3 right off the bat? You know, do you want to concede the bridge a little bit, go 2-2 and play passive, and have a 4th guy swing out from the hole to try to flank around the back? You know, make a little bit of an unexpected play on Axis. You can be looking through the hole over to the fruit and the bridge cross as an ally. You can potentially catch them getting up onto the bridge cap. It's just a little bit of a harder shot. You certainly cannot nade from there, but you could preemptively get yourself out up into rope. You make a sound cue, though, out the water onto the dock, but you'll make a sound cue. You could do the Caleb where you're swimming around waiting for the chance to break. There's a lot of ways to go about it here. You know, for GSR, the bridge team, you got a lot of firepower there, but so does DoD Worldwide, right? And I feel like on this map, right, a big, long, open space on the bridge with a guy like Rafinha, a guy like Corey, these are maps that they excel on because they can hit those long-range shots like it's nothing, as opposed to me with a rifle where I'm like, do I see somebody there? And then I died. Or, like, turns out it was just the trajectory of a nade coming towards my face slowly. And then Soya up against the bear, right? Cam is the next man up to try to lock down Soya to do something that nobody's really been able to do yet. He's just been great every step of the way, whoever he plays against. It doesn't matter. Soya has been one of the best snipers, period, in the game in KTP the last couple seasons. So, you might think just like, wait, what are the records here? So they are actually both O and right here. So this is gonna actually be deciding who gets their first dub out of this. Um, man, I don't know. I like both these teams' lineups on paper a lot. Like I think that with the additions that both teams have made in the and I think the roster is like locked really soon. So if anyone else is gonna be making roster moves, you really need to do it very soon here. It might even be like today. So me saying this might not matter, but the Bud pickup for DoD Worldwide is awesome. I think that really opens up a lot of possibilities for DoD Worldwide to step it up even further. And then, as I said, the pickup of Jared for GSR, being able to put him on the heavy now. You know, you got the twin duo on the heavies, which is you always have that Fusion Dorito combo going on there, right? The unspoken connection. I don't know, man. Like this game, I think because the matchups work out individually so even on so many levels here. Like one team having the advantage in one spot, but then the other team has the advantage in another spot, and back and forth, and they're like even here. Hmm. Has either team scrimmed much this week? Like, is one team or the other feeling extra sharp? Have they been going over shit? This can be the one thing that makes the difference in the end in a close matchup like this. Um, I have no idea. I have not checked a lot to see like who's scrimming this week, so I don't know. I think the bridge is the really big key here. I feel like on the heavy route, a lot of times it really is just allied sided, right? On the bridge, it can go either way, and it can come down to just like decision making. Do you push up that extra little bit and walk straight into like two guys who are waiting for you on the other side, and then all of a sudden your bridge team is down? Do you hold back a little too much and you give them too much space and their respawn wave comes in and now all of a sudden you go from having bridge and three guys set up on it to your sniper's dead. They still have four nades they can throw at you and only two spots you can be. Um, I think this is another really close match. Basically, is what I'm saying. I think this is another really close matchup. I think there's some really, I don't know if it's just these like wide, long bridge maps that foster close games, similar to like a Donner with not being a bridge map but being a big central mid cap. But I feel like the games this week all look like they're going to be pretty close. Um, maybe not on the level of Saints, but close. Definitely closer than the Anzio week. Um, this might come down to the snipers, right? Which sniper can lock things down on the bridge better? And I don't mean which sniper can get more kills and have a better KD ratio. Which sniper can get the most value out of their kills for their team? Because on a map like this, you can just kind of like post up from afar and kind of like thin numbers out as they're pushing beyond the bridge cap and beyond the heavy route and just kind of like go 30 and 10 with no problem. But that's not necessarily helping your team win. Sometimes it doesn't matter that you're like barely even or negative. If you're getting the kills to hold bridge or to break through bridge, and then you're just kind of like dying in transition a lot of the time, that can be more valuable than having a 3-to-1 KD ratio, but all your kills are just coming, one at a time, randomly, like in situations where the rest of your team is just kind of getting picked apart, and like you're getting one kill as they cap out or whatever. So it looks like you had a great game, but in reality, you were just kind of hanging out in defense, and the team was just running over you. I think the value of sniper kills on this map, in this matchup in particular, where everything else matches up so equally, is going to be the difference maker. I have no idea who I'm picking here. I don't like sniping against either of these guys. I feel like on this map, it would be even worse because for Cam, he loves shooting through the walls, right? And these walls are paper thin in those lofts. So that right there is a bare advantage. Soya isn't going to just sit there and spam through the walls, but he is more than willing to take the fight to you. So he will not be the kind of sniper who's like, I got to sit back and like wait for my opening. So he probably won't be in position to get fucking walled into oblivion as much as other snipers might be. Um, but yeah, I think that's a lot of what it comes down to. And just if any one player is like having a better game or a worse game than they might normally have, uh, gonna be what makes a difference here. I'm gonna go with GSR by 2 points. GSR by 2 points, and I think it's gonna come down to the crazy nade breaks because I have PTSD about playing against a rifle team involving Jackson, Booten, and Shogun, and them getting nade breaks. Those nade breaks could be the big difference maker on that bridge. Um, Not that the other, rifles don't have the capability. Rafinha is a very good nader himself, but it's just the volume of good naders that we have here and timely naders. Something that we can get a little bit better grasp on statistically its impact now with the demo analyzer from Chuck. Shogun and Brandon in particular, excellent, excellent at using their grenades at the right time and the right place. These little fucking things can be the difference in a matchup that's this tight. But this is really like a 50-50 game. Like, this is legitimately like a coin flip game, in my opinion, again. And I like seeing two updated rosters now making moves to improve themselves at the deadline and seeing which team is going to come out the better of that, who's going to get the first dub of the season. I fully believe it could go either way, and I really don't think either team is likely to blow out the other. Because I just think there's too much talent across the board here. It's just a matter of meshing that talent together in a team format now, because they have a lot of good players on both these teams. But taking the time to play together and understand each other's play styles and where you fit into that system and roles, is really the job now for these two teams because they're kind of newer. Well, not really in DoD. DoD Worldwide is technically newer as well. Like you're kind of taking two rosters and melding them together. So that maybe is a little easier than grabbing 6 random guys, but it is still taking a whole new, grand scheme and trying to make it work for all 6 pieces of it in that machine. But yeah, I'm going to go with GSR here. They had a really, really close game on Saints with Lobsters. They also play Volvo on Anzio that same day. I think. When is it? GSR Volvo is at 3. Okay, and then G-Skill. Oh, wait. GSR Volvo is at 3. And then do they have another game? Are they not playing that day? GSR versus DoD Worldwide. Did we get that one? GSR. We don't have that match scheduled yet. Okay. So yeah, I guess this might not even get played this week, but whatever. All right. Now that I have just spent way too long talking about one game because I think it's such a close matchup. Lobsters versus Volvo. So that's another... Do they have a game time yet? They don't have a game time yet either. Okay, shit. Huh. So we're behind a couple games here. GSR Volvo is being played this week for sure, but then this game doesn't look like it's being played this week, and in turn, this game doesn't look like it's being played either. So I guess that would mean both Volvo and GSR, who are playing in this game from last week, would then be a week behind on the matches, which next week isn't technically going to have any matches at all. Easter Sunday, no match. Oh, wait, no. So 13th is when there's matches. Then the following week is when Easter Sunday is. So then there's no matches. Okay, so it's a little bit, it's not as problematic. All right, so Lobsters versus Volvo. Volvo with a huge fucking win last week. Or not last week, that was 2 weeks ago. I'm saying last week because it's the last time I saw Volvo play, but it was here. 146-94 on Saints over a very, very strong over team. For the Lobsters, generally speaking, you got Matt and Cody on the heavies. You could see Nick in there, right? Justin, Corey, and Defrag on the rifles. You could see Ben in there. Ian on a sniper. You could see John there. You could see Kev on any of those spots. Really, Ben could play anything too. We saw Nick rifle last week, etc., etc. And on the Volvo side, it's a little bit of a revolving door in certain spots. Both Toki and Darren obviously can snipe. Obviously, Paul can snipe as well. Paul was rifling last week. Well, last week, again, on Saints, where we had Manor and Crawd on the heavies, which I love the heavy duos here of either Manor and Crawd or Paul and Crawd. Scotty generally on a rifle. Kingyo generally on a rifle. And then Yanni can play anything. Whatever they need, Yanni will be able to slot in there and do his job. Halle, man, this is a weird one again. We talked about that aggro heavy play style. If you see a Crawd and Manor here, it's a really nice mix. Manor a lot more like methodical, gonna wait it out, gonna have he's gonna die less than the average heavy, right? Whereas Crawd is going to take the fight to you. He's going to get 30 kills. He might end up like 30 and 29, but he's going to get his kills, right? He's going to have impact no matter what. It's very fun to watch. The Lobsters need the answer for that on the heavy side. On the bridge, you got a lot of firepower. The question, I guess you don't know, are they going to send one of these two guys to the heavy route? I assume CK is on the bridge for sure, along with Ian, and then either Justin or Defrag. And then, is it Toki, Paul, and Kingyo, or Nicholson, or Scotty? Which one, who's going where? Lots of question marks lineup-wise here, and where they're all going to go. I think I think the heavy route is very even. Um, it's gonna just come down to like, is Crowd gonna go 40 and 20 again? Is he just gonna go insane? Because if so, no one's gonna stop him. If he has another game like that, that's heavy side in favor of Volvo because we just saw he just did that to Caffrey and SC, who it's like that heavy team has been one of the best for seasons now. And Crowd was able to just burn through them like a fucking candle very, very easily. When he's going like that, good luck. And then on the bridge side, it's like, is it going to be CK and PB and Ian over there? Because that's a lot of frag power to deal with. Ian's strong on these big bridge maps. But both Toki and Darren are also very strong at sniping on these bridge maps. Paul, good at this map on bridge as well. I don't think I've ever really gotten to play against Scotty on this map. Maybe. Actually, maybe I did. Maybe we played against. Yeah, I think we did play typical on Halle the last time that Halle was in KTP. I forget. I don't remember if that was just like scrims or if it was a match, to be honest. It was a while ago now. I'm pretty sure it was a match though, but um yeah, I don't know. I again, I like this matchup for Volvo. I think a lot of people would look at this and say, well, Lobsters, obviously, but I like this matchup for Volvo again. I think it really will again come down to just like, is there one stronger performance on one side? I don't think these teams are like far apart enough that it's just like one team is clearly going to win. I think it's going to come down to the individuals here. And, do you get an extra strong game out of a Corey or a Justin or an Ian on bridge to counteract their bridge dynamics? Because I really like the way that this team in Volvo or whatever, seasons past, they've been called Saab, Lads. The way that they play these bridge maps is very clever. They rotate around each other really well. They're all very good at their nades. They don't over push or under push. They just play really well as a team, timely breaks and everything. And then both Toki and Darren, very strong snipers on maps like this. Man, I don't know. I don't know. I haven't gotten to scrim against either team, so I don't have any like real insight on how they're playing currently, what their form is like as a team on the map. I saw Lobsters was scrimming last night, so that's helpful. That's, like a tick on the side of the Lobsters, but Volvo pretty regularly scrims too, so I'm sure they probably have, as many or more scrims in their back pocket on Halle too. I don't know. If is Lobsters going to have all 6 of their starters as well? That's always a big question mark. They obviously have a 10-man team here, but when you start dipping into backups and unfamiliarity at the last second and things like that, that can throw everything into disarray. Oh my god, it's already 2:30. I got completely thrown off with that break where there was like shit going on all over the place and I didn't know what was happening. Uh, like I feel like Volvo, much like Dice last season, is that team where people underestimated just how good they were heading into the season, and I feel like a win this week against a tough fucking Lobsters team would be the thing that gets everyone's attention again. Much like when Dice beat 3H early in last season, where it was like, okay, this team is obviously very fucking good. Um, it's one of those things where it just, some teams, they just fucking mesh really well together, and I think Volvo meshes really well together. They have the right core for that with the Saab, Lads, etc. guys mixed in there, and then like Paul and Crod and Darren, all guys who are pretty much willing to do whatever to win. And then Paul and Crod, obviously, from PMC in seasons past. Paul directly from that Dice team that I just mentioned. Uh, I don't know, man. I'm gonna. It's like if I predict the upset, because I didn't directly predict Volvo would win against Over. I said there are a lot of ways that Volvo could win this match against Over, right? Like that's what I did. I can't take credit and be like, well, I said Volvo was gonna win. No, I said this is a map in particular where I can see a million ways that Volvo can beat Over this week, and I would not be at all surprised, and that I thought it was going to be a close game in either direction, but that I couldn't pick against Over in good faith there. Just that I was least confident in that pick compared to all the other ones. I mean, if I pick against Volvo, I feel like that's kind of like my way of picking for them. But if I pick for them, it's kind of like I'm jinxing them. So I don't really know what to do here. Uh, just on paper, like you look at a team that has fucking CK and PB on it, guys who are just going to go off. It's really tough to pick against them on a map like Halle, but against a team like Volvo, sometimes frag power is just not enough because they are a unit, They are a well-oiled machine of a unit together. Man. I've had a lot of tough picks this week, to be honest. Usually, like, I have a pretty good idea right away who I'm going for here, but it's always a good sign, right? This sounds a lot more like the Saints week than it did the Anzio week. Um, I'm gonna go with Lobsters by 6. I think again, and I'm just gonna say, like, basically you can put quotation marks under what I said for the Saints week. I think you can favor Lobsters, but I think that there are even more win conditions for Volvo. Like, I think just from a default standpoint, you can favor Lobsters on paper, but I think that Lobsters have, say, like 3 win conditions, whereas Volvo have like 10. There's a lot of different ways Volvo can win this game, whereas for Lobsters, I feel like it's pretty clear what's going to happen for them to win. Whereas Volvo, they can take you out a lot of different ways this week. So I think it's a very similar matchup to that over Saints game. I'm going with Lobsters, but I'm saying again, very confidently that Volvo can quite easily turn this game in their favor, just like that. Just like the over game all over again. And then the last one for the week, the match of the week, the game that I have personally been waiting to get to see, and of course it's on fucking Halle. It's on Halle. G-Skill versus Over. So, on the G-Skill side, we've had a pretty consistent roster going. Taylor and Milo on the heavies, Andrew on a rifle, Colin on a rifle, Alex on a rifle. Justin is back now, so that is great for the rest of the league. Like, oh, G-Skill, they don't have Gall this week. Oh, so what does that mean? They're going to be playing Justin. Oh, shit. Like, what do you even... There's no victory here. There's no victory here. And then even if more are missing, you just get to throw in Chris or Scott or Frank. Just stacked, It doesn't matter who's missing. They could be missing... How many guys is on this team? 10. They could be missing 4 guys, and you're still not getting a downgrade anywhere. And then on the over side, you got Caffrey and SC on the heavies, right? You got Kum Kum, Sokka, and Chi as their main rifles. You got Nick and Nightmare and Mata all capable of sniping. Till also capable of sniping or heavying or rifling or thirding. Jizz played last week, had played great last week as well. MVP for him in his first game back in KTP in a long time. Over is going to definitely want to have Nightmare or Nick available for this map because this is a tough task, right? You need one of the top 2 snipers in the game here on this big centralized bridge map to deal with Chuck and all the frag power coming out of G-Skill here. Number 1. Those guys, one of those guys being there is really important for Over. Sokka and Kum Kum are both really good at this map, having played them enough times on it in scrims over the years. They're both really tough to play on Halle. So that bodes well for Over. I think they can match up rifle for rifle. I love this heavy duo for both teams. Caffrey and SC versus Taylor and Milo. That's a fucking sick head-to-head right there. And then if it's Chuck against either Nick or Nightmare, that's a insane sniper battle as well, obviously. I think, though, number 1 for Over, having Nick or Nightmare is super important. Because this map, the sniper is just very, very... It's like, an armory and a Saints. Your sniper is going to be very, very important here when it comes to battling for that lone double cap the map has. And that alone can turn the tides in either direction. It's just who's winning that sniper duel more often. How often are your rifles going to be able to come out to the end of bridge and not have to fight with a guy in a tiny loft, and able to deal with the guys at the other angles individually instead of being isolated, having to sprint around and try to get to cover and being shot from 2 other angles while you're fighting with a guy who's got a scope on you. Very, very important here. The heavy route, I think, kind of a dead heat, right? It could go either direction depending on who's hot that day. And I think the rifles are very evenly matched too. Nades now, Colin and Chi here, 2 guys who are very, very good with nades. I like seeing that. and just a lot of raw firepower here. You can't pick against G Skill. I can say all these things, and I'm not going to pick against G Skill ever. Even if they did lose, I don't think even if they lost this match, I'm not going to pick against G Skill next week. Even if they lost 2 matches in a row, I'm not going to pick against G Skill still. They're too strong a unit and too strong a bunch of individuals that you should ever assume G Skill is going to lose a match. Just plain and simple. Um, Speaking with firsthand experience, both playing against them and playing with, like the G Skill core here. Obviously, it's a lot of Bandits guys too, and having played against Bandits basically, 5 times in a season, Anzio, Armory, and then the best 3 finals. Like, these guys don't fucking get put away. They just don't. You are fighting for your life for every point against them, period. Doesn't matter the circumstances, who it's against, what the map is. They are the team to beat. I think Over has a really good chance to do it again, starting with getting one of those top 2 snipers that there is in the game into that lineup. What happens outside of that, they have more than enough talent that like they can match up with them no matter what the other 5 guys in that lineup look like. That part I'm not worried about. It's just you need to start with one of those elite snipers right off the bat as a foundation to have a chance to win in this game, I think, in my opinion, for what that's worth. Very little. But if they do that, this is going to be a really sick fucking game. I think even without that, it will be a sick fucking game. I think it's less likely for Over to come out with the win. I would say you take everything into account. Best case scenario here, like I'm saying, like 60% G skill, 40% Over, right? And then if you don't have a Nick or a Nightmare, then it's moving up to like 70-30 kind of thing. You got to pick G skill, and I think it's less than a cap. I guess again with Over, you never know because they can get too aggressive and they can almost kind of like take what if they settle down just a little bit, they could just kind of like cruise off to a win. But sometimes they get so far ahead of themselves that they just will all die at once, and it'll go from like full control and they're pushing for a cap out to like they just got capped on and now they're losing. I've seen it happen so many times. They're just so aggressive. I think Cheese addition to this team is a nice stabilizing agent because he's not likely to do that. He's a lot more likely to be the guy who's like, all right, people are dying. Like, I'm going to make sure we don't lose this area of the map. We've seen it this season on this team. Like where Chi is the last guy alive having to hold on to a route by himself long enough for the respawn to come and doing so. Same with like Nightmare and Nick. In seasons past, it's just they only had really Nightmare. If Till is playing as well, obviously another guy who does that. The rest of them are just aggression first, to be honest. For better or worse, right? It's very fun to watch, but then it can also be heartbreaking when things go against them out of nowhere because like everybody just pushed up at the same time and ended up walking into a fucking 6-man crossfire at a last flag. But yeah, you gotta pick G skill here. I think again, it's this game ends it with less than a cap out deficit either direction. But like I said, like I say 6 versus 6, like best 6 versus best 6, you're looking at like 60-40 in G skill's favor, right? I think this is a very clear match of the week here. Just so much insane DoD ability across the board. Okay, I did unmute my mic. For a second, I was like, did I unmute my mic after I got on the computer earlier again? That would have been unfortunate, guys. Ooh, my stomach just dropped for a minute there. But yeah, that's the match of the week. I will get to cast it. Thank you very much. That is at 4 Eastern on Sunday. Before that, we got Expired versus a DoD team, which is the silver match of the week on Sunday. Frag of the week, not out yet. T got a bunch of submissions at the last minute, so it's a little bit delayed, but that'll be out in the next couple days, I'm sure. Mutiny 3 is out. Go watch that shit. Where is it? Wait, what's going on in here? Oh, okay, this is from before. This is from before. He told me that he was delaying it, but where's the community media? Movies, there it is. Go watch Mutiny 3 Reset. Download it. Download it. You should always be downloading these movies, man. Keep them set aside, you know. When we make movies, it is specifically with the intent for you to watch them in a media player on your computer, not the stream. The stream is just there so that, like, whatever happens, the movie's always going to be there. But watch them on your media player because the amount of file size and FPS and all this shit that we put into this is just crazy. So it'll look as good as humanly possible in that media player. Go watch Mutiny. Let's fucking go. KTP, everybody. I'll be ready to go on Sunday back in Buffalo with good internet and a good computer. Thank you, Canada, for making me unhittable this past week. Peace out.